I don't know why I'm nervous, but hello. It's been more than a week since I submitted the thesis, and I'm just now getting around to sitting down and talking about the aftermath. I've tried filming this multiple times, and every time I had a really difficult time articulating my thoughts and feelings, and also things like my camera died and there was construction going on outside, so just like it was not the appropriate moment to do it. So we're here now, we're going to try. Granted, I only have an hour to try because I need to leave for an appointment in the city, but we're gonna do our best, okay? It wouldn't be a vlog from Katie if it wasn't a little bit messy. But this time I actually wrote down the 3 things I wanted to talk about, so hopefully it will not be as chaotic as usual. There are 3 things I want to cover today. 1 is the days following my submission, 2 is reflecting on the thesis itself, and 3, what's next and looking ahead. I do have to say that I am definitely feeling removed from the situation, so the emotional affect isn't there as much as I would like it to be. I want to show you guys the whole process and all the feelings. I've been doing this thing lately where I actually feel my feelings and name them and talk about them. What a shock. But let me bring things together. Okay, the days following submission. I submitted my thesis Sunday night, and in celebration, James and I went out to go get some drinks and a little bit of food, and on the way to the restaurant, James, who's my partner if you don't know, asked me, "How are you feeling?" And I could not answer the question because I was feeling everything. 1 second I was elated and excited and proud. The next second I was feeling frustrated and sad, a little bit scared and anxious. I was also weirdly homesick after I submitted my thesis. I think just in any moment of big transition I tend to feel a little bit homesick because I crave that familiarity and comfort. But it was something that I haven't experienced in a while, and it was a little bit weird. So I just felt like this flood, this rush, this oncoming of feelings that I've been kind of sifting through since last week and trying to name them and find where they fit in my body and what role they're playing and what they're telling me. And in doing so, what I have found is that a part of my personality has kind of come back online. I feel a little bit less tired, I'm a little bit less stressed, I'm a little bit more energetic and excited and present. I posted a video the other day about submitting my rough draft and the onset of sadness that I experienced after that, and somebody left a comment, I'll share a screenshot of it if I can find it, that said to not forget the fact that when you're doing something as intellectually challenging as a master's thesis or any kind of intense writing, you have to take your feelings and set them aside, because you have to focus on this thing. I had to spend a week before submitting my full draft revising so much of it that I did not have time or space to have those feelings. And I'm not saying that that's a wrong thing. It's a strategy. It's a part of doing the work in my personal opinion, but I haven't done something as intense like this. So that person is absolutely right that in the aftershocks of finishing really intense work, all of these feelings have come flooding back. I've also been so extremely tired, more tired than I expected myself to be. And I will say in retrospect it makes sense because that week leading up to submission was really intense, and I was revising whole chapters of my thesis, which I wasn't expecting to have to do until I got the feedback the week before, and I knew that this was going to be one hell of a sprint. So for the last week, because I don't have to get up and do work, and I'll be frank, I'm kind of coasting right now. I don't have a lot of things to do. I have been so tired, so sleepy. I cannot manage to wake up at a normal time. I'm really lounging in bed when I wake up, dozing off, waking up again, taking my sweet time getting ready in the morning, which is honestly my preferred method of getting ready in the mornings, and I haven't had that in a long time, so in retrospect it makes total sense. And I've also been telling people that one of the things I think we all tend to forget is that our brains are not some abstract thing that gives us consciousness, but an actual organ in your body that uses up the most calories in your body, so which is why you can't think when you're hungry. And doing something intellectually challenging like writing a research thesis is going to use up a lot of freaking energy. So of course I was tired. I'm just more used to like I'm tired because I did something physical, not tired because I did something intellectual. So that's a shift I've been having to think about. I can say like a week later, I am feeling much less tired and, like I said, more energetic, and I am very much enjoying that energy. Another thing to add to the days following the submission, on Monday, which is the actual submission day, my cohort organized a dinner and drinks outing on Monday evening together to celebrate finishing our theses, and it was so lovely to get to see everybody because we only take one elective in our last semester in this program. So unless you're taking an elective with other second years, you don't see your cohort. And this is the part of academic work that people talk about being isolating, and even more so at the PhD level. And as much as I've tried to keep the community together by running a writing group, not everybody can come because it's, time conflicts and all that kind of stuff. We have lives outside of academics. It was just really lovely to get to sit and reflect and see that everyone else was feeling the exact same way. And I've been trying, like I said, I've been trying to actually feel my feelings, and that comes along with not being ashamed of my feelings, because I am a person who feels deeply and takes most things seriously. I don't know how to not give something my all. So it was really nice to be in a space where other people were experiencing the same intensity of feelings and to receive them and accept them and say it totally makes sense and it is welcome here. And I want to extend that to you too. Like, if you're going through something intellectually challenging, which is also an emotionally challenging thing, there is space here for us to express that. Okay, I've been talking for almost 9 minutes and I've only covered the first thing that I wanted to talk about. So we're moving on to number 2. Let's talk about my thesis. If you've been watching my thesis diaries, you would know that I do not like my thesis. When I said that I was flooded with feelings of frustration and disappointment, it's because I don't really like my thesis, and I am not saying this in the getting down on myself about the quality of my work or imposter syndrome. I actually think I'm a really good writer. I am a strong writer, I communicate clearly, I'm capable of handling complex, abstract topics and theories and concepts and bringing them together. I wouldn't be in a graduate program if I wasn't capable of that. I didn't like the topic of my thesis for a variety of reasons. I went through some really challenging personal stuff in the semester of this program in which we had to start thinking about what we wanted to study. I really wanted to study tradwives, and I still plan on doing that, but the content that I was looking at in order to start developing my thesis proposal and argument was impacting me mentally in a way that I did not think was sustainable, because I was already really struggling with my mental health that semester and over the summer because of what was going on in my personal life. So I decided that it would be a kinder choice to myself to not put myself through the emotional roller coaster of studying pretty vitriolic content. And especially because in a master's program and in a master's thesis, I did not feel that there was enough time and space to attend to such a heavy topic appropriately, and that there weren't enough protections both for research participants as well as myself as a researcher. So I decided that I would table that idea for perhaps a PhD in the future, and instead I picked doing a current affair vintage pop-up market because I thought it offered an interesting kind of built-in structure, if that makes sense, because there was one in Los Angeles, there was one in Brooklyn. I could do a comparative analysis. So the approach was kind of built into the fact that it's a pop-up market that happens in 2 spaces. And in writing that, I basically ended up in consumer culture theory, which, if you know anything about me, I don't even like to use the word consumer. So it's on the opposite end of the spectrum of where I wanted to end up when it came to vintage. Because if I wasn't going to study tradwives, what I wanted to study in vintage was evidence of care, both in the community and the material objects. But I feel like my choice in primary source, and also the way I was kind of pushed into researching it from a certain angle because of things like the academy advising the literature, I ended up with that consumer culture theory looking at like spatialities of consumption. It was interesting, don't get me wrong. I eventually came back around to finding ways of enjoying engaging with my thesis, and it was intellectually stimulating, and writing about buildings and spaces and the politics of place is something that I kept coming back to and kept thinking about. So I'm not saying that like it was wrong of me to choose the less emotionally traumatic route, but that I just didn't quite end up where I wanted to be. But I will also say that that seems to be a common sentiment amongst the people that I know who continue to go on to do academic work, that we're never quite satisfied with where the work has ended up, that there's more work to be done, that there's more to investigate. And surprisingly, when I submitted my thesis, I thought what I would feel was like the relief, the like, I'm never going to do this again, like I don't have to do this again, I can't do this again because I'm so tired. What I instead felt was that this wasn't enough, I need to do this again. So I'm still apparently energetic at the idea of doing more academic research, which I'm very excited about, but it is time for a break. I want to talk about growth and how writing a thesis is like a practice in growing, not only intellectually but personally. And I have to say that like every emotionally challenging and intellectually challenging experience I've had in this program has been to my benefit. I have grown so much as a person in my confidence, my ability to cope with my ADHD, my writing skills, my research skills. I am not the same person I was when I started this program, in the best way possible, I think. I understand myself better, I have better boundaries, I know what I think I want to do in the future, which is always a really hard thing for me to come to terms with. And I also think that choosing the less emotionally challenging topic, even though it wasn't the most interesting topic to me, often caused me to see a shiny new subject and want to chase after that thing. Especially as somebody with ADHD, novelty is something that really gets our brains going. And every time I would like stop and sit with it, maybe talk about it to my partner or like write it down in a database of ideas, and then I would let it go and I would refocus my attention on what I had already been working on because I'd already put so much effort into it. And that is a skill that I have not developed until now, and I am so proud of that. All right. Last thing, what's next, looking ahead, the future, all that good stuff. I do have to say, a part of what's been happening ever since I submitted my thesis is I'm going through like a tiny bit of an identity crisis. Because I have been in academia or higher education for so long, and I'm not going straight to a PhD program, I don't really know what life looks like not being a student. And for the next 2 years at least, I will have to live life not being as a student, which is weird and uncomfortable and a little bit scary. Even though I am intending on continuing to do independent research, it's still just not like a space I've been in. So I'm like having to like halfway let go of my academic identity, but also like trying to keep it alive, knowing that it'll be there in the future, exploring my life outside of the academy. It's just something I've been thinking about that I'm like excited for and also really scared of, because it's a transition and transitions are really difficult and scary, and finishing a program is nothing but one giant transition. It also means that I will be needing to look for a job. I haven't really like announced it a lot yet, but my partner is starting graduate school in a different state, so we will be moving. So I'm also like leaving behind New York. I'm moving to a whole different area of the States I've never been to. So there's just like a lot going on. I'd be lying if I didn't say that it's causing me some anxiety because I'm a little bit scared, but that's what's happening next. But what I can say is that I'm going to be taking all of this growth and all of these skills that I have acquired in the process of doing a master's degree, taking it with me to do independent research, to apply to some PhD programs, and keep living life because life keeps going. I will for sure do a fuller video on what's next after graduation, but I've been talking for way too long now, so I'm gonna go. Thank you guys so much for watching, for following this journey. It has given me so much more than I could ever have expected, and I am honored to like have the privilege to have a platform to share it with somebody else, to share it with you. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.